Hi, my name is Robin Wong, and this is the new Olympus OMD E-M1 Mark III. This is the direct successor to the E-M1 Mark II, which was released 4 years ago. I've been using this E-M1 Mark III for several weeks now, and I cannot wait to share my thoughts and opinions on this camera with you beautiful people. Let's do this! Before we go any further, here are some important disclaimers. I am an Olympus visionary and ambassador to the Olympus brand. The E-M1 Mark III was on loan from Olympus Malaysia and it will be returned to them after this review purposes. My thoughts and my opinion on the E-M1 Mark III are subjective. I don't have any technical tests or technical data, graphs and charts or any comparisons to show. My review is based purely on my shooting experience using the E-M1 Mark III as a professional photographer and an Olympus enthusiast. With that out of the way, let's get started. When I first saw the E-M1 Mark III, I thought to myself, wow, it looks exactly like the E-M1 Mark II. In fact, both the E-M1 Mark III and E-M1 Mark II, they both share a lot of similarities. There are some physical differences. We will explore that very shortly, but the most telling difference between the two cameras would be the obvious E-M1 Mark III label at the corner of the camera. It is as if Olympus is proud of the E-M1 Mark III and they're shouting out and asking people to look at it, hey, this is the E-M1 Mark III. However, when it comes to camera specifications and what the camera can do, the E-M1 Mark III is closer to the E-M1X. In fact, it can be seen as an E-M1X in an E-M1 Mark II body. First, let's start by exploring the similarities between the E-M1 Mark III and the predecessor E-M1 Mark II. Both cameras share identical camera bodies, the design, the shape, the size, it is so similar. In fact, they both use the same battery holder grip. The use of similar design as the E-M1 Mark II was not necessarily a bad thing. The E-M1 Mark II has one of the best handling of any cameras out there in the market today. The hand holding area is beefy, it's comfortable to hold, it fits my hand perfectly. I can't say for you if you have different hand sizes, but most of my friends and other photographers who have used the E-M1 Mark II have also commented that the grip on the E-M1 Mark II is one of the best they have ever used. The camera body is of course made of magnesium alloy body. It is sturdy, it is well constructed. When you hold the camera, it feels really reassuring in hand. The E-M1 Mark III also shares the same image sensor, the 20 megapixel LiveMOS Micro Four Thirds sensor as the E-M1 Mark II. The same sensor is also used in the E-M1X and the recently released E-M5 Mark III. The battery that is used in the E-M1 Mark III, the BLH1, is also the same as used in the E-M1 Mark II and the E-M1X. Being a pro-grade OMD camera, the E-M1 Mark III also has weather sealing, which is similarly found in the E-M1 Mark II and the E-M1X. The E-M1 Mark III is splash-proof, dust-proof, and freeze-proof down to -10 degrees Celsius. The LCD flip and swivel screen on the E-M1 Mark III is exactly the same as the one found in E-M1 Mark II and the E-M1X. The E-M1 Mark III has dual card slots. Unfortunately, they are not both UHS 2 capable. Only the first slot is UHS 2 compatible and the second slot is UHS 1 SD card compatible. And this is similar to the E-M1 Mark II as well. The maximum shooting speed of the E-M1 Mark III and the buffer capability, they are exactly the same with the E-M1 Mark II. The fastest shooting speed is the electronic shutter at 60 frames per second, and on mechanical shutter, it drops down to 15 frames per second. Next, let's explore what's changed, what's new, and what's improved in the E-M1 Mark III versus the E-M1 Mark II. We will start by the physical changes. At the back of the camera, the most obvious change will be the addition of a joystick near the thumb rest area of the camera. This allows for convenient changes of focusing points. You can move the focusing points using the joystick. In comparison to the E-M1 Mark II, the labeling of the buttons and switches on the E-M1 Mark III is a lot cleaner. There is no longer the FN1, FN2, or FN3 or any of the function buttons. These buttons are still there, however the labels are gone. We do have the dedicated ISO button just at the top of the thumb rest area. We do have the record button and the exposure compensation button, and the top plate is very similar of the design that is found in the E-M1X as well as the E-M5 Mark III. There are also some changes to the mode dial. There are 4 custom settings directly accessible from C1 to C4. There is also the B mode, which refers to the bulb mode, where you can directly access lifetime, live composite, and bulb mode. Because of the addition of the joystick, which I've mentioned earlier, there are some changes to the button positions. The menu button has been relocated to the top left corner of the camera, all the way across the LCD screen. I personally do not like this change. I prefer the menu button to remain on the right hand side of the camera, which is nearer to my thumb, so that I can fully operate the camera with just one hand. The input and output of the camera remains very similar. We have the microphone in, the audio out for headphone monitoring. We have a micro HDMI out, as well as USB-C to connect to the computer. However, the USB-C in the E-M1 Mark III, unlike the E-M1 Mark II, now it is charging capable. You can use the USB-C as power delivery to the E-M1 Mark III, just like what is found in the E-M1X. With the new E-M1 Mark III, Olympus also introduces a new image processor, the Truepic IX. Although there is only a single image processor, the Truepic IX, in the E-M1 Mark III, Olympus claims that the Truepic IX is as powerful as 2 Truepic 8 processors found in the E-M1X. Besides the Truepic IX processor, Olympus also upgrades the SSWF dust reduction filter, which is similarly found in the E-M1X. The 5-axis image stabilization has also been upgraded, and furthermore, the shutter life in the E-M1 Mark III is similar to the E-M1X, which is 400,000 actuations. Because of the new Truepic IX processor and a newly upgraded 5-axis image stabilization, the E-M1 Mark III is capable up to 7 stops of effectiveness when it comes to image stabilization. I have tested the 5-axis image stabilization extensively. I've been shooting in some really low light, challenging situations where I was shooting at dangerously slow shutter speeds. I can confidently handhold all the way down to 4 or 5 seconds shutter speeds and being able to get sharp results again and again with no issue. However, anything more than that, it becomes increasingly difficult and depends more on luck. I admit that this result is very similarly achieved with the previous E-M1 Mark II, and I don't really see that much improvement when it comes to the E-M1 Mark III that has 7-stop image stabilization in comparison to E-M1 Mark II that has 5.5 stops stabilization on body alone. I do think that the limitation is not because of the camera, it is because of me. Anything more than 4 or 5 seconds, I can feel not only my hands were shaking, but my entire body starts to shake. My legs were definitely shaking, and I admit I drink a lot of coffee, and effectively this will reduce the stabilization capability. I must also admit that I am able to do 4 to 5 seconds handheld with the 5-axis image stabilization in the previous E-M1 Mark II. I'm not saying that the claim of Olympus on the E-M1 Mark III having 7-stop stabilization versus the E-M1 Mark II having 5.5 stop stabilization is not true. I'm not saying that. However, I also admit that it is very difficult to show you and to demonstrate how much better the image stabilization in the E-M1 Mark III is. Perhaps I will need to dedicate one specific review video just to specifically test the image stabilization. It is undeniable that Olympus cameras have the best image stabilization capability in the market today. When it comes to autofocus, the E-M1 Mark III performs similarly to E-M1X and E-M1 Mark II. The single autofocus is blazingly fast, it locks onto focus extremely quickly without any hesitation, and the focusing is always dead on accurate. Shooting in both good light and very low light condition, the E-M1 Mark III, just like the E-M1X and E-M1 Mark II, can focus down to -6 EV low light condition, provided you're using the bright f1.2 lenses. I generally have no issues focusing in very dim environment. When it comes to continuous autofocus and tracking algorithm, the E-M1 Mark III uses the same capability as the E-M1 Mark II and the E-M1X. So I'm not expecting any miracles when it comes to this department. It is still basically as reliable as ever. However, Olympus did include some new autofocus features in the E-M1 Mark III. The first one being the eye and face active tracking feature. Olympus did have eye and face detect autofocus before in all their cameras. However, they have improved this further. It is not a surprise. Everyone is demanding for this feature to be included in the Olympus camera. So here, finally they made it. They did listen to the customers after all. In the E-M1 Mark III, there is the new eye and face tracking feature, and I have tested this feature extensively as well. To test the eye and face detect autofocus, I have my beautiful friend Carmen Hong to help me. Basically, once the eye and face detect autofocus is enabled, the camera will automatically track any face within the frame. If the face is far away from the camera, a small box will appear around the face and follows the movement of the face. Once the face comes closer to the camera, besides the box that is around the face, there will be additional boxes on the eyes of the subject. If you have 2, 3 or more faces within the frame, to quickly select between these faces, you can use the camera's touchscreen and simply touch on the face that you want to select to be in focus. If you're shooting through the viewfinder, you may assign one of the function buttons as the face detect function, and you can use that to toggle between different faces in the frame and select the one that you want to be in focus. The face and eye detect autofocus tracking works really well even when the subject is moving to the left, to the right, toward the camera or away from the camera. I got my friend Carmen to walk toward the camera, and I used the low sequential bursts at 10 frames per second mechanical shutter, shooting with continuous autofocus with the face and eye detect autofocus on. All the shots, every single one of the shots were in perfect focus. In a case where Carmen was using her huge sunglasses, the face detect autofocus and the eye detect autofocus still successfully locks onto her face and her eye. Also, I have shot the entire portrait session of Carmen using just the face and eye detect autofocus. I did not have to choose the focusing point anymore. Now it has come to a point where I can rely on the camera to effectively track and lock autofocus onto a human's face, and I can see how this will effectively change the way I approach portrait shooting in the future. In a situation where the subject or the face is a little bit too far from the camera, the eye detect doesn't really work, but Micro Four Thirds having a smaller image sensor and having infinitely more depth of field, the camera being able to lock on the face is sufficient to ensure that the eye will be in tight, sharp focus. The advantage of using Micro Four Thirds. With the new Truepic IX processor, an improved 5-axis image stabilization mechanism, and a new supersonic wave filter SSWF dust reduction, the E-M1 Mark III is capable of doing handheld high-res shot. The handheld high-res shot 50 megapixel was introduced in the E-M1X. Do bear in mind that the handheld high-res shot is different from the tripod high-res shot. I've done a video to explain how the tripod high-res shot works. You can check out the video here if you have not. In this video, I will only demonstrate how the handheld high-res shot works. The handheld high-res shot takes 16 images in quick succession with just one click of the shutter button, and each of these images are taken at different positions based on the hand movement. All these 16 images are then merged into a super high resolution composite image, resulting in a 50 megapixel high res shot. The entire process of handheld high-res shot takes about 10 seconds from the start of the press of the shutter button to the finishing image. So do bear in mind that this is not something that you want to use for a very quick shooting situation. Also, there must be no movement on the subject. If the subject moves, then the image will fail to composite into a singular image. I have also been using the handheld high-res shot in a lot of situations, from shooting buildings, architecture, to some food photography. I do see a lot of advantage of using the handheld high-res in squeezing that little bit more resolution out of your micro four thirds image sensor in the E-M1 Mark III. It is incredible to see how much difference it actually makes having 50 megapixels with just one click of the shutter button. Although there's a little bit of delay, there's a little bit of waiting time to process all 16 images to composite into one, but the result is definitely worth it. On the other hand, I don't think that the handheld high-res shot is a deal breaker or is a game changer in any sense. It is still very good to have, and it does make a huge difference when absolute resolution or more megapixels is needed. Another one feature that is ported over from the E-M1X is the Live ND. Live ND works really well in slower shutter speed shooting. It allows the camera to show you the slow, blurry motion live even before you press the shutter button. This definitely helps in shooting flowing water like waterfall, or if you want some blurry movement in your subjects, and you can determine how much blur you want and prevent the image from overexposing. One particular feature that I was very happy to see now in the E-M1 Mark III is the inclusion of My Menu. Having My Menu in E-M1 Mark III makes a lot of difference. While Olympus hasn't made any changes to the menu system, it is still as complicated and as difficult to navigate as before, but Olympus gives us an option to fully customize and make our own menu system. You heard that right, you don't have to use the complicated menu from Olympus. Just spend about 5 or 10 minutes to rebuild the entire menu system based on your own preferences. And I still believe that Olympus should include My Menu in every single one of their cameras. I don't think that is impossible. In order for the My Menu to work, all you have to do is just go to the settings or the features in the menu that you want to bring to the My Menu, press the record button, and that's it. You are bringing the feature over into the My Menu, and within the My Menu itself, you can rearrange the menu in multiple tabs to your own preferences. If you can't give us a menu system that we like, then let us make our own menu system. I think that is a genius idea. Although the Olympus has included the new Truepic IX processor, Olympus did not claim any improvement when it comes to image quality. Based on my experience shooting with the E-M1 Mark III for the past several weeks, I did not see any differences in terms of image quality comparing the E-M1 Mark III and the E-M1 Mark II. If there is any improvement, then they are definitely not worth shouting about. Having said that, I must also mention that the image quality from the E-M1 Mark III is excellent. In fact, it is definitely good enough for most photography situations. Having used the Olympus OMD systems for many years, both for my commercial shoots as well as my personal photography, I've never found a situation where the dynamic range is insufficient, where the high ISO is limiting, or where the resolution wasn't sufficient. I can't say the same for you, your mileage may vary, but hey, I'm not the only professional photographer that uses the Micro Four Thirds system. The Micro Four Thirds has matured and on the whole is a very capable professional shooting system. As I've mentioned earlier in the video, the handling of the E-M1 Mark III is excellent, having the exact same design and form factor as the E-M1 Mark II. The beefy hand gripping area fits my hand perfectly. A lot of people who have used the E-M1 Mark II, they have commented positively when it comes to the camera ergonomics and handling. To test the handling of the camera, as usual, I do my inside macro photography where I hand hold the camera and the macro lens with one hand and I hold the external flash fired wirelessly with another hand. Shooting inside macro for more than 3 hours, hand holding the E-M1 Mark III and the macro lens with my right hand single-handedly I felt no strain or no discomfort on my wrist or any other body parts. There was no issue. The camera felt comfortable in my hand at all times, and generally the handling of the E-M1 Mark III was excellent. Furthermore, I managed to nail some interesting shots that I was very happy with from that Inside Macro session. It was my first time seeing a yellow damsel fly. What an incredible experience. When it comes to battery life, I think that the E-M1 Mark III has very similar battery life in comparison to E-M1 Mark II. After all, they both use the same battery, the BOH1. I was able to squeeze about 800 to 1000 shots in a single charge. I believe that this is perhaps the best battery life of any mirrorless cameras out there in the market today. To me, battery life is very important because I do a lot of long hours shooting, especially for my professional work. I do wedding photography, events photography, and some of these photographies will span the entire day. Not having to switch batteries that often and worry about charging the batteries saved me a lot of trouble. Of course, the Olympus E-M1 Mark III continues to maintain the existing features from Olympus, such as the live composite, the focus, bracketing, and stacking, as well as the Pro capture mode. I will not go into these individual features that will make this video very draggy. In fact, these are not new features anymore. A lot of these features have been around for many years, and a lot of reviews and a lot of articles have been produced explaining what these features can do. When it comes to video recording capability of the E-M1 Mark III, it is still very similar to the E-M1 Mark II or the E-M1X. The camera can record up to cinema 4K at 24 frames per second or the normal 4K at 30 frames per second. There is 120 frames per second Full HD slow motion video capability built into the camera. There is the OM-Log 400 profile. I'm not aware of any new features found in the E-M1 Mark III. I'm not the best person to talk to about the video shooting of the camera. After all, I am a photographer, I'm not a videographer. However, I think some of you will be very happy to find that there is finally auto ISO when it comes to full manual shooting in the video recording mode. Also, when the camera is in video recording mode with the face detection autofocus turned on, the face detection box around the face of the person will be shown even when the camera is actively recording the video. Previously in E-M1 Mark II, once you hit that record button, that face detection autofocus box on the face disappears. Now it remains on the face during recording. That's all I have to share about the E-M1 Mark III. I think it is a wonderful camera. It can shoot confidently and it can definitely deliver beautiful results. Being a professional camera, it has robust construction, it is weather sealed, the autofocus is top notch, it has now the super reliable face and eye detect tracking. The camera has the latest Truepic IX processor from Olympus, allowing 7 stops of image stabilization as well as handheld high-res shot. The E-M1 Mark III does not fall short in shooting features and it will perform well generally in everything that it does. It is a well-rounded performer. As I've mentioned earlier in the beginning of the video, this feels like a mini E-M1X in an E-M1 Mark II body. Do I have a complaint about the camera? Yes, of course I do. No cameras are perfect. If I have just one thing to say, I really do wish that the E-M1 Mark III has a new image sensor. Any slight improvement over the old sensor will be much appreciated. However, the old sensor is still very capable and I don't see how it cannot deliver fantastic results even today. If you've liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing to this channel and I will definitely make more videos coming this way. I hope you've enjoyed watching the E-M1 Mark III review from me. If you have any questions, please leave them below. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Until the next video, please remember to go out and take more photographs. Bye-bye.